Hello friends and welcome to the Southern Mountain Kitchen. Today we're going to make a sausage hash brown breakfast casserole. So what you see on my counter is what we're going to use to make this, and there's really not a lot of ingredients, but when you put these together you have something really amazing to serve for breakfast. And if you had like a family get together or the holidays coming or whatever, this is an amazing thing to make because it makes a lot and it can go around to a bunch of people, and you can add just a couple of things with it and you are set for breakfast. So that means it kind of relieves a little of the stress of cooking. So need to pay attention to this one. So we're going to start out with just a normal log of sausage, which we're going to go ahead and put into a large pan over medium-high heat, and we're going to cook this and break it up into small pieces because we want this actually distributed through the whole casserole. So we just want to get this hot. So over medium-high heat, just cook this until it gets to a point where it starts to break up, and then we're going to break it really small. So keep cooking this as long as it takes to get it done. And we're going to actually get this to a point where we're going to cook it completely and then remove it from the pan because we're going to bring in other things after this. So go ahead and just keep cooking and breaking this up until you get it completely down into smaller pieces, but there's none of that pink left. So let's just make sure it's thoroughly cooked. So once we actually get this done, the next thing you're going to be cooking in the same pan is some hash browns. So basically we want to cook this, remove it, set it aside in a very large bowl. And that way we're going to keep using this bowl to catch things as we're taking them out of the skillet. So keep going with this until you get it to the point that it's completely cooked through. And then when it's time to take this out, you're going to need a slotted spoon. And there's a reason for the slotted spoon, because when you pick up all of this sausage, you're not going to get as much grease because some of it will drip out if you kind of shake it a little before you take it out of there. And we're just going to go ahead and set this into a large bowl to the side. And once you get everything cleaned out of here, then we're going to bring in our bag of hash browns. And this is just basically the kind of frozen kind you find at the store, like either a 28 ounce, 30 ounce bag. And it's really just, you're going to throw them in here, give them a little seasoning, and let them cook for a while. Now, you could have thawed these and put them into this casserole, and they would have a lot of moisture, which we really don't want. So we're going to put them in here just as is. And we're going to season these a little bit once they're in the pan, because we're going to bring in a half a teaspoon of salt and a half a teaspoon of pepper and spread it around this to give it the seasoning. And we're going to let this cook for probably 8 to 10 minutes, and then we're going to flip it over because we want to get it a little brown on the bottom, and then we're going to flip it and actually get it browned on top. Now you can move it around all the way through this to get everything working and get it heated up, but we want to actually make sure that this actually does grill the bottom of it a little bit just to make sure that it's doing really well. And when we're done with this, we're going to remove this to the same bowl that you actually put the sausage in. So I got all the way through mine here for like at least 8 or 9 minutes, and now I'm flipping it so the other side can start to brown. And as you can see, it's starting to brown underneath. So that's what we really want to do. And just keep an eye on it to make sure it doesn't burn along the way, because if it gets really hot or your temperature really is making it burn, turn it down a little bit. So once it's done, as I said before, we're going to move this to the same bowl that we actually put our sausage into. And then we're going to move on to the next step once this is all out of here, because at this point, you know, we have a lot of what's going to be going into this. So we're really not going to be cooking as much in a skillet or anything at this point, other than moving to assembly and everything else like that. And to do the next part of this, you're going to need a block of cheddar cheese, like those 8 ounce kind you get from the store. And I'm using mild. Now you could use different if you wanted to. If you wanted sharp cheddar, you could use sharp cheddar. It's going to change the taste of this though. Same thing with the sausage. You could have used something that was a little more of a hot sausage, but it would change the taste. So I believe in grating this stuff up myself, because if you get the bag from the store that's already like shredded up, it really, it doesn't melt well. It really doesn't, because there's not enough moisture in it. This is the best way to go about it. Only takes a couple minutes to do. And once you've got this completely shredded up, then we're ready to go with this part of the cheese. We're just going to actually pick it up, put it into my cup that's beside here, and bring it over to the actual thing when we're ready to put it into the mix. So once we get that all shredded up, we're done with that part of it. Just put it into a bowl or whatever you have handy, and we'll get ready to move on. Now this is a 9.5 by a 13.5 pan. I'm spraying it with non-stick cooking spray because I really don't want this set up shop. We're going to preheat our ovens to 350 degrees because this bakes for a half an hour. And once we get this all set up and the oven all set up, we're going to go ahead and break some eggs, because you're going to need 6 large eggs in this. And we're just going to put them all into a bowl or whatever. Go ahead and whisk them a little bit, break them up just like you're making scrambled eggs pretty much. And then we're going to season them and add some milk to them. So once they're all broken up, you're going to need 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt and 1/4 of a teaspoon of pepper to go into this, because that's going to help flavor this a little bit. And once we get that in, we're going to go ahead and mix it again to get it distributed through. And this is where the whisk comes in really handy. It's a wonderful thing to have. And once you got that all mixed through, you're going to dump in a cup of milk. And then we're going to whisk it one more time to totally get this all mixed through, because this is going to get poured over the hash browns and the stuff that's going into the dish we're baking in. So once it's all done, we'll be ready with that and just set it to the side and have it ready to go. I put it in a measuring cup just because it's easy to pour out of. If all you have is a bowl, use a bowl. And then once this is done, we're going to move over to assembling our other stuff. So we have our hash browns, we have our sausage in this bowl, and we're going to add about a cup of the cheese that we shredded. But we're going to save the rest of it to go on top after we get everything assembled. So go ahead and put that in there and stir it through, trying to mix that cheese through with the sausage and the hash browns and get everything kind of incorporated into each other. So that way, when we go to put this into our container that we're baking in, it's already mixed. And that's a really cool thing. So go ahead, mix it through, make sure it looks like it's evenly distributed. And then when we're done, we're going to move over to our baking dish and get ready to put this in. So just make sure everything is combined together and the sausage and everything is kind of distributed pretty evenly, or as much as you can do with that bowl. And then just go ahead and spoon this in. You know, a large spoon really works well for this. A bunch at a time, and that way you can see how much of the sausage is going where, and that helps out a lot. And we're just going to work this all the way through this whole thing until we've dumped all of it in there. Now, yes, I could have dumped that whole bowl in there and just thrown it anywhere, but I kind of like to see where stuff's going, so at least, you know, if somebody's getting a cut of this, it's going to be an even amount of what everybody else is getting. There's enough cheese, there's enough sausage, it kind of works that way. I want everything distributed well. So, and once all of this is in there, we're going to move on to the next step. And make sure it's just kind of level in your baking dish. And then after this, we're going to bring in the other things we have, which are the egg and milk mixture, which we're going to pour over top the whole thing and kind of evenly distribute it, because it's going to soak down in, which is good. But when this bakes, it actually cooks the eggs and the milk and everything into what we already have here. And then on top of this, we're going to add the rest of the cheddar cheese that we had left over, which you should have had pretty much the equivalent of a cup left of it. And just go ahead and just do a even distribution of it. It's not going to be a ton on top, but it's just enough to give it a little bit of a layer, and that's what we want to see going. And like I said, 350 for 30 minutes. And when it comes back from the oven, it'll look something like this. And I got to tell you, the first time I bit into this, I was amazed that how good this was, because I was like, wait a minute, there's no way it's this good, because I was kind of questioning it along the way, and then I put it on my plate and mine looked like something like this, and I was thrilled. This was just like one of these great things you don't know until you get a hold of it. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. And if you get a chance, check out the Southern Mountain Kitchen website, where you can get a free recipe, check out the cookbooks available from the Southern Mountain Kitchen, and if you'd like to, you could order a cookbook at a discounted price, cheaper than Amazon, with shipping that is also cheaper than Amazon. So if you get a chance, check it out, and I hope you have a great day.